The fluorescent lights of JFK Airport flickered above Sarah's tired eyes. She sat hunched on a worn bench in Terminal 4, clutching her daughter's small pink backpack in one hand and a stack of unpaid bills in the other. It wasn't supposed to be like this. At 32, Sarah had imagined herself building a home with her husband, not scraping together shifts as a waitress, struggling to keep the lights on. Her little girl, Emily, slept with her head against Sarah's lap, unaware of the storm her mother was fighting inside. They weren't traveling for vacation. No, Sarah had borrowed money just to fly out west for her mother's surgery. She'd been dreading the cost of tickets, but telling Emily they couldn't see Grandma was never an option. As she brushed a strand of hair from Emily's face, Sarah glanced up at the busy terminal, and froze. There he was. Tall, confident, dressed in a tailored suit that looked like it cost more than her monthly rent. His eyes scanned the departure board, but Sarah would have recognized that profile anywhere. David Carter. Her first love. Her high school sweetheart. The boy who once swore he'd never stop loving her. The boy who had left when her father's business collapsed, taking her world with him. She felt her chest tighten. What would he think if he saw her now, a single mom in thrift store jeans, juggling overdue bills, barely holding it together? Before she could look away, his gaze fell on her. And for a second, the airport, the noise, the chaos, it all disappeared. Sarah? His voice was deeper now, steady and commanding, but there was warmth in it. He stepped closer, disbelief flashing across his face. It's really you. Sarah forced a smile, her heart hammering. Hi, David. Been a long time. Emily stirred, blinking awake. Mommy? David's eyes shifted to the little girl. His expression softened instantly. And who's this? My daughter, Sarah said, her tone firmer than she expected. She braced herself for the pity, the judgment. But instead, David knelt to Emily's level. Hi there. I'm David. Emily grinned sleepily. I like your tie. He laughed, genuine and unpolished, just like the boy she remembered. They talked for a while, awkward at first, then easier, like slipping back into an old rhythm. He asked about her life, but Sarah kept it vague, no need for him to know how hard it had been. She asked about him, expecting he'd moved on, married, had kids. What she didn't expect was the truth. I run a company now, he admitted almost reluctantly. Tech startup. We grew fast. He cleared his throat. I guess people call me a CEO these days. Sarah blinked. A CEO. The suit. The confidence. It all made sense now. She felt the gap between them widen like a canyon. Wow, she whispered, trying to hide the ache in her voice. That's amazing, David. Really. But inside, all she could think was, he had the world. And she could barely afford groceries. When boarding was called, Sarah gathered Emily's things. David hesitated, then asked quietly, Sarah, are you okay? Really? Something in his tone, gentle, searching, broke through her defenses. For the first time in years, she let herself be honest. No, she whispered. I'm not. Her voice cracked, and before she knew it, she told him everything. The divorce. The debts. The endless nights worrying how to feed Emily. The guilt of not being enough. David didn't interrupt. He just listened, his jaw tight, eyes heavy with something she couldn't read. When she finished, she shook her head. I'm sorry. You didn't need to hear all that. Just forget it. But David didn't forget. Hours later, after they landed in Denver, Sarah walked off the plane holding Emily's hand. She was ready to disappear back into her struggles. But waiting at baggage claim was David. And he wasn't alone. 2 men in suits stood behind him, carrying sleek black cases. David stepped forward, holding an envelope. Sarah, he said softly, I can't change the past. But I can help with the future. She stared, confused. What do you mean? He pressed the envelope into her hand. Inside was a check. Enough to pay off every debt she had, cover Emily's schooling, and still have something left. Tears stung Sarah's eyes. David, I can't take this. But he shook his head. You're not taking charity. You're letting me do what I should have done years ago, stand by you. Emily tugged Sarah's sleeve. Mommy, is he an angel? David smiled through damp eyes. No, sweetheart. Just a man who finally realized what really matters. Sarah didn't know what the future held. Maybe they'd rebuild something together. Maybe not. But in that moment, she understood something far more important. Sometimes life gives you a second chance, not in the way you expect, but in the way you need most. And as she held Emily close, her heart lighter than it had been in years, Sarah whispered to herself, Maybe, just maybe, this is the start of something new.